In this short video, we're going to look at the top 5 most common security guard interview questions, and I'm going to help you plan fantastic answers that are going to land you that job. So the first question that always comes up in these sort of interviews is a question around how would you deal with a very angry member of the public? And there is a really simple way for security guards to do well on this question. So the first word that you're going to always use is the word de-escalate. You're going to calm the situation down, get it under control. Make sure you use the word de-escalate. It's a really powerful word in this question. You're then going to talk about how you're going to prevent disruption, because you're a security guard, so your job is to make sure the place is running very smoothly and securely. So you're going to do what you need to do to minimize the disruption to the other guests and other members of the public that are present. So that might mean, taking the person slightly to the side to speak to them slightly away from where the public are, but you're still conscious of your personal safety, but you're also very conscious of the disruption that this angry member of the public may be causing to the rest of the organization. But the most important thing you have to get across is that you're going to positively represent the company, that while you're working in their employment, you're responsible for how that company is perceived based on how you deal with it. So if you deal with it poorly, you're going to negatively affect the company. So you want to say in your interview that you're going to be a positive representative of that company by behaving very professionally and maintaining calm at all times. So if you follow those 3 steps, get in a point on each of those, you will deal with this question really well. The second one that is extraordinarily likely to come up, because it is so important to the company, is what hours can you work? And this is a screening question. So when the hiring manager asks this, they're asking it to see if you are suitable for the job. And if you give the wrong answer, you're not going to get the job. It's simple as that. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to be honest. Because if you tell something that's not true, well, you might end up getting the job, but then you'll be expected to work hours that are not possible, and you're just, causing problems for yourself. But moving on from that, you want to show off as much flexibility as you can. They want people that are flexible, and they also want people that are reliable and committed. And if you've not got those attributes, that's really going to hold you back. And some fantastic things to mention that are so helpful for companies looking to recruit security guards are, of course, night shifts, if that's what the company wants. They're slightly more difficult to staff. Antisocial hours, evenings and weekends, they are very difficult for companies to staff. So if you can say, I'm open to evenings, I'm open to weekends, and I'm also open to doing night shifts, that's the dream answer to the question. And that just bumps up your chances of getting the job. And a really important thing to do when you're answering this question is to always focus on what you can do, not what you can't. The classic mistake people make on this question is when you're asked, what hours can you work? They go straight into, I can't do Thursdays, Tuesdays are a write-off, and I'll never work evening shifts. And the person's going, well, you're going to be a problem. You're not flexible. You're not committed. And you've got all these other things that are more important than your job. And it really sets a very negative tone. So always, when you're answering this question, go on and on about everything you can do. And when you're answering, don't even mention the things you can't do. Let the interviewer bring those up. Now, the third question, which is one of the ways that the hiring managers can see what sort of standards you set, is to ask, what would you do if a fellow security guard was sleeping on the job? And the thing that you have to get across is that you think that is unacceptable, that you've got higher standards, and you want to just show that that is really awful and that you are horrified that someone would do that, because that reflects on you. If you think that's super unacceptable and you get that across, they think that you set high standards for yourself. So just start by talking about how that's unacceptable, how that your job as a security guard is maintaining the security of the organization or facility that you are protecting. And so you see that person being asleep as a threat to the security of that building, and you've got to, do something about that. You can't leave that. You can also use the phrase time thief, because that suggests, you have high standards, and that sleeping during work is essentially stealing from your employer. And so you've got those high standards. Ultimately, you probably want to say you're going to wake them up. They might not like it, and it might annoy them. But again, your focus is on the security of the building. And also, you're going to, quietly and confidentially report that in a professional way to someone who is responsible for that, because again, that's really not acceptable. and you have to get across that you think that's unacceptable and that you're not going to compromise the security of the facility by ignoring it. So go through that process and you'll do really well on the question. The fourth one is a trick question that people can answer really, really badly. So the scenario that you're given is a woman claiming to be the CEO, so the chief executive, the absolute boss of the organization, attempts to enter but does not have the correct credentials. Maybe there's a scan system where you've got to scan a card, and this person who claims to be the CEO has forgotten it and is unable to get in, and they have absolutely no proof for their claims whatsoever, and you can identify her. And the question is, what do you do? And the key is that you're going to secure the premises. You can't just let anyone come in based on their claims. So you just can't let this person in. It's just not possible. It wouldn't be secure, because then anyone who claims to be anyone is going to get straight in, and what's the point of having a security guard? So you're absolutely 100% focused on the security of the premises and doing your job. However, you can remain sympathetic to it. You don't just come straight out and say you're not the CEO, don't be ridiculous, because that's not particularly great if they actually are. However, you're going to work to resolve the issue. You're going to say, right, this is what you need to do. You need to have the card. Perhaps there's someone we can contact. It could be as simple as, there is another senior manager here. You can contact them. They can come down. They can verify that person's identity, because they've got all their credentials there, and that is in line with the company's policies, and the person can be admitted. So get the idea. You're working to resolve the problem, you're securing the premises, and you're following the company's procedures. A bad answer to this is just to say, give them the benefit of the doubt, let them in. They probably are. I don't want to get fired if they are the CEO. So follow that three-step process and you will avoid the trap that's been set in this question. The last question we're going to go through is, what experience do you have with computers? And you don't need to go and ramble on a very long answer. There are simple things that you just want to mention. And I've given you a tick list. Mention as many of these as you can, but be careful. Don't just mention these because they're a good thing to mention, because you might actually get tested on this and you could be caught out in lying. So if you've got some experience with surveillance systems, switching between different cameras, recording, that's a really great thing to have. Email, quite important. If you've used Outlook or the other major email servers and you can do various different things on them, that's great. Word processing, if you ever have to write any sort of report, based on an incident, showing you can do that is good. Video editing, if you ever have to download something and actually show a specific clip showing an incident, that's a good skill. That could be useful. And also that you can keep track of files if you were to find yourself responsible for logging and cataloging surveillance data, for example. So hopefully this video has been very helpful to you and it's helped you prepare, and you'll miss all of the pitfalls that are set up to get in your way of getting the job. And finally, thank you very much for watching.